to increase up to the severe tropical storm level, perhaps by today.
And which areas, Sir Domeng, or rather, Sir Badina, is it being or will it be affected?
Yeah, so currently it's not affecting any parts of the country since it's quite far from the land, from our land, no. But now what we're looking at is the enhancement of southwest monsoon, like what you've mentioned. Although only some parts of the country, particularly here in Ilocos region, including some areas in Zambales, Bataan, as well as Batanes, Babuyan Islands and Kalayaan Islands. Actually, this enhancement is due also to the formerly tropical cyclone Kaloy, no, which is now called Chaba, the international name Chaba.
Is this expected to persist, sir, in the next coming days? And when do we expect Domeng to exit perhaps the Philippine area of responsibility?
Yeah, so first for Domeng, we can expect it to exceed the Philippine area of responsibility within the day, perhaps before 2 p.m. today. Meanwhile, we can expect the continuous enhancement southwest monsoon until this severe tropical storm Chaba make a landfall in this area of near Hainan Island, the southern part of China. So perhaps in the next 2 days, we can still expect the enhancement of southwest monsoon, which will continue to affect areas in the western part of Luzon.
Other than Domeng, sir, have we monitored any other weather disturbances so far?
As of now, aside from these two tropical cyclone, Chaba in the western side and Domeng in the northeastern part of the country, so there's no more. No, we're not monitoring any other weather system. But let me also add that we raise a gale warning, no, particularly in the western seaboards of northern and central Luzon. On these areas, we are reminding fishing boats and other small sea crafts not to venture out into the sea, while large seabeds are alerted against big waves. So in these areas, we are again reminding our fellow Filipinos to please avoid venturing out into the sea because of the big waves.
Sir Obet, thank you so much for your time. That is PAGCOR weather forecaster Obet Badrina. Thank you, sir. Meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos appointed a new foreign affairs chief in his first day on the job. Marlene Kaide with a report.
Marcos began the day by attending a mass presided by Cardinals Jose Advincula and Orlando Quevedo. Aside from the president's family, Vice President Sara Duterte was also there along with other cabinet officials. Marcos then administered the oath-taking of his newly appointed Foreign Affairs Chief Enrique Manalo. Manalo, who replaces Teddy Boy Locsin, was appointed by former President Rodrigo Duterte as permanent representative of the Philippines to the United Nations in 2020. He also served briefly as acting DFA Secretary in 2017. After Manalo's oath-taking, Marcos graced the Air Force's founding anniversary celebration at the Haribon Hangar at Clark Air Base in Mabalacat. Air Force Commanding General Connor Canlas Sr. welcomed the President. Air Force units, officers, and enlisted personnel who showed exemplary performance in service were also given recognition.
Today's event is the perfect time to recognize our nation's continued enhancement in air strength over the years, the air capability that we have used and continue to employ in our national effort towards nationhood.
In his message to the Philippine Air Force, Marcos Jr. acknowledged the contribution of the Philippine Air Force not only in protecting the country's territory and airspace, but also in responding to calamities. The Air Force says they need more help in terms of modernization so that they can protect the country's airspace better. Marcos agrees, saying enhancing the Philippine Air Force capabilities is one of his administration's priorities.
A more modern aerial and surveillance capability is all the more felt given the territorial disputes that we in the Philippines are involved in.
For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
Former Vice President Leni Robredo returns to being a private citizen as she launches her Angat Buhay Foundation. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro with the report.
No longer is she the Vice President of the Philippines. Starting Friday, attorney Leni Robredo is the chairperson of the Angat Buhay non-government organization, which was officially launched in their volunteer center in Katipunan, Quezon City.
Hindi man tayo nagbogi, nagtagumpay pa din tayo. Dahil I am sure lahat kayo would agree with us na we really started something very, very special during the campaign.
Going back to her roots as an NGO worker, Robredo said, Angat Buhay will focus on 4 things: health, education, disaster relief and rehabilitation, and community engagement.
Ito yung pinakaunang inisyatiba natin, isang nutrition and food security program na dala ng pag-aambagan ng mga katuwang natin ng mga LGU, volunteers at private partners.
Angat Buhay was the flagship program of Robredo. In the last 6 years, she was vice president, catering to the different needs, especially in far-flung communities all over the Philippines. Now, they hope to do it better as the biggest volunteer network in the country. Their NGO is also a registered corporate already. Bad news is, the name Angat Buhay has already been taken back in the early 2000s. While appealing this, their corporate name will be Angat Pinas Incorporated.
But the program will still be called Angat Buhay.
But more than its anti-poverty programs, Angat Buhay serves as a beacon of hope to their supporters, just like Melise.
Ayun na talaga yung last resort ko para sa maniwala sa good governance and then para matulungan yung ibang tao.
Robredo said she will continue working in Metro Manila, where the Angat Buhay headquarters will be.
Nasa sa atin po lahat para sabihin na hindi tayo failure nung eleksyon. Naging matagumpay tayo kasi because of the campaign, we were able to start the spirit of volunteerism all over the country.
While managing her NGO work, Attorney Robredo remains to be a figurehead of the opposition, as she also intends to continue the fight against disinformation. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
Press Secretary Trixie Angeles clarifies that President Bongbong Marcos has yet to appoint a new PAGCOR chief. In a statement, Angeles denied rumors on social media that former COMELEC Commissioner George Garcia has been appointed PAGCOR chairman. Garcia briefly served in COMELEC before his ad interim appointment was bypassed by the Commission on Appointments. Andrea Domingo is currently the head of PAGCOR. Now, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The United States made history after swearing in the first black woman to serve in the U.S. Supreme Court. 51-year-old Ketanji Brown Jackson became the U.S. Supreme Court's 116th justice. She's the 6th woman and 3rd black person to serve on the U.S. High Court since its founding in 1789. Jackson's appointment brings the number of female justices in the U.S. Supreme Court to 4, making it the most diverse bench in history. Singapore is taking sustainability to a whole new level, coming up with a beer made from recycled sewage water and urine. Let's get more details on how safe this is in this Bloomberg Quick Take.
this is not your average can of beer. It's called New Brew and it's made of water recycled from sewage and urine.
Despite how it sounds, Singapore's water agency says the water is clean enough to drink. They also want to take this chance to educate the public about water sustainability.
Here's how the process works.
Step 1. The water goes through microfiltration that removes small particles and bacteria. Step 2. Reverse osmosis ensures that bigger particles such as viruses are filtered out. Finally, the water goes through ultraviolet disinfection to make sure it's safe and clean enough for human consumption.
New Brew was crafted by a local brewery in Singapore called Brewworks and first made its appearance in 2018. Now, it can be found in supermarket chains, online platforms, Brewworks restaurants and e-store. New Brew could be one of Singapore's greenest beers, but the idea might not sit well with everyone. So we decided to put it to a taste test.
Fizzy.
I like it.
Tastes very light and refreshing. It's a bit watery. I wouldn't have it knowing what is inside.
I don't think that I would think that it's anything other than beer.
Brewing beer from recycled water may be better for the planet, but would you try it?
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 9 in the morning as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.